So I can hear you asking yourself, what in the heck is that? This is the chair that's normally sitting where that camping chair is. This is my granddad's armchair, and the strapping and the springs started going all of a sudden, so I'm having to redo this. This is all new. I tied all the strings properly, and I'm doing this all. But as a result, the studio is in pieces. Plus, Sabrina's doing stuff. So I'm gonna have another keyboard warrior mail call, and I've got some segments in it. So if you really, if you're down for that, that's what's happening. But let's get to it. Oh wait, I can do this though. Here's my wrist check. Still wearing the.
Gene Hackman?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I was fooling with the focus. Yes, still wearing the Gene Hackman, having a good time with it. This bottle cap design, like it is. It's so far since building it last weekend, it's 4 seconds fast. And Sabrina is wearing her beloved Baby G, which gained a surprising amount of time.
How does that happen?
I don't know. Well, the oscillation is slightly too fast.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So here we go. It was a good week for videos. I had 3 up. We're getting some decent looks. My videos kind of chug along. So let's go to questions. The Butcher 6851. And this is for DT Seiko 6309 7049. Beautiful watch. Yes, it is. Love a good fence. Congratulations. Yeah, the fence is really, really nice. It's too nice for the likes of me. But it's the way it's built. It's actually built a little nicer than all the other fences in the neighborhood, because we're kind of on a corner, and so our house looks like our fence looks classy. Yeah, it's really nice. I'm in stewardship of a 6009 at the moment, 6139 6009. Notch resist. They're super cool. Again, I have a real deep fondness for that model. I really do. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend. You see the 6 days. I'm a fan. Okay, Jeffrey Hickman 3871. I'm a fan of automatic watches with date feature. What would I expect to pay for one of these working? Your friend Jeff. Well, the great thing about these features you're looking for is this is kind of like the foundation upon which Seiko 5 is built. That they're self-winding, and that they have date, and they're waterproof, and they have luminous markers, and that's and you can. So it's really more a matter of what kind of watch do you like? What style do you like? Because that combination of features you can find in, I can't even guess how many models of Seikos would fit with that. So that's the next question. What do you want? Do you want a dress watch? Do you want a chronograph? Do you want a diver? What are you thinking? This guy is a bot. It's just, I left it because it's just funny. This was a link that I tried to be clever with, and it just didn't work out. This was a great fence in the road behind my house. Got a date just from him in the 90s. Ha ha ha. God, I remember there was an episode of Antiques Roadshow where a guy had a first gen Rolex GMT, the very first one, and the guy who'd owned it just gave it to him. He'd been keeping it in a coffee can with other random junk in the garage, and just handed it over, and they were just flabbergasted. I look forward to your video on your 5H26 project. I'm sorry, I actually didn't make one. I was really super focused on doing the job, on really digging into my watch, and honestly, I was so focused on each methodical step, one after the other, that I just didn't want to break and have to deal with filming. So I apologize sincerely. I will make a video talking about the watch. I swear I will. I'm really fond of mine. I bought new in 1993, wore every day for more than 30 years. Never seen inside it. It is too late to ask, but I hope you can show the complete assembly process. Yeah, like I said, I already did it. Servicing the 5H was fun. They're a perfectly nice movement. They're all metal trained, with 3 jewels, and it's got bushings. It's an absolutely respectable caliber. And the nice thing is they were designed to be maintained. They suffer a little bit from that thing that Seiko started doing around then, which was really layering parts on top of other parts and using those parts to sort of mutually hold each other in place. They started doing a lot more of that in this time period, but it's still screwed together. Bruce Barlow, Seiko 7548, one of the best quartz divers ever made. New fence will be a new Maybox. Maybe. Yeah, 7548, I love them. I mean, just absolute tool watch. I don't care what anybody says it is. Okay, Matteo Gambita? Hope I got that right. If I didn't, my apologies. Talking about the Seiko 0624 5009 Lemon Drop there, for one of their very first LCD watches. I can't believe that nobody in the last years have made an aftermarket LCD to repair this iconic watch. I have a Seiko 0624 5009 Lemon with broken LCD. The ability to replace it is but impossible to have a replacement part. I made a segment about this, and I am going to insert that right now. Lemon Drop. 0624s, 0634s, all of these are dead because of battery leaks. All of them. I don't even think about having the fact that I have a Lemon Drop because it's just either the circuits are destroyed or the LCDs are destroyed. And the LCDs on these, you can't just sort of make them. They're a complex piece of engineering and manufacturing skill. I mean, obviously companies produce them all the time, but these things are these layers of glass that are sandwiched together with a kind of conducting glue and filaments inside. You can see the letters there that run from the top and the bottom, have these like connecting strips on them. And that is how they turn the different segments on and off. You can see that one right there now, the right way it's supposed to be. And these they delaminate, and there's just nothing to come. I'm sure it could be done. I'm sure that there is a company somewhere in China or India or somewhere that can do this, that could recreate these. The issue is, who's going to pay for it? I mean, economies of scale, they could probably make a bajillion of them, but I don't think there's I don't think that there's the business out there to support it. I mean, it's a shame. And so there's so many of these watches that are unwearable because they have either a dead circuit or, because the circuits on these things are handmade. And if they go south, I mean, I think they can be remanufactured, but I've never had any luck doing it. Will not enter. So that's the thing. Yes, it can be done, but there's no money in it, so I don't think it ever will happen. Otherwise, a lot more of these would exist. Okay. Big Duke 6iXX on an old video, the Holy Pogue. Yeah, it had 6666404 is the serial number of this watch, the Holy Pogue. My 6002 case back says July 7667, but the dial is 6030T and the bracelet is tapered. Any T dials used later than 1975, does anybody know? Well, I did a segment, so let's dig that segment up. Okay, so I just did a ton of work for a very short answer. I went through all of the spare dials for the 6139 6000Xs I had, Rs, and I separated them into R and T, which I'd already done, but I confirmed. I went and looked at every single one. These are the 3 latest Rs that I have. I'm pretty sure one of them is a service dial, simply because it's too late. February 1978. It's a really, really late dial. It's incomplete. It looks like someone, not me, pulled the date window and the applied logo off. Lume isn't bad, though. That could be cleaned up pretty well. But 1978. That's pretty late. There are a couple other later ones. This one's Feb 72. I'm sorry. My brain. It's Feb 77. It's not bad looking. Put that there. And then we have this one, which is, this is going to be September 1976. So yeah, there's not a lot of them that late. The vast majority of them, of all of this, is before that, before that date, but I've got a few. On the Seiko H556 video, Kaiserman 6667. It's a nice video. I have one of these, bought in 1983. Wow. Do you still have the LCD replacement and service these? Mine bled out. I think that's all that's wrong with it. No, I don't have those parts. They're long out of production. You have an H556, so it shares that LCD screen with the H558. They swap back and forth. So unfortunately, what you need to do is you need to look for an H556 on eBay. Look for ones. I would look for ones that are in gold-plated cases, because gold-plated cases tended to get worn less because they started showing wear sooner. This is what I've found, and that usually means that the insides have less wrist time. So I think that's kind of where you're going to be stuck. Kraken on the workbench. That's always fun, isn't it? Kraken jumping up. I actually remember her jumping up, and she's a complainer. 754X 7C43 Part 8. I made an 8-part video about that. Wow. Brilliant, serious, thank you. Well, thank you for saying thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Again, Big Duke 6iXX. Hello, Mr. Klein. I have a question on the tachymeter inserts. Are the transitions between red and blue always dead center between the 6 and the 0 on the genuine tacks? Looking at the 6139 in general on eBay, I've noticed the transitions on a lot of watches are sometimes very slightly to the right or left of center. I just bought one, and that's the only odd thing about it. Was this just acceptable QC issue back in the 1970s? Thanks very much in advance. I made a segment. Okay, so in answer to your question, or in order for me to answer your question, I dug out project watches and also a bunch of bezels to look, because I started looking and I noticed there's some variation. Thanks to your question. Okay, now that's an early one. We're looking at the transition there between okay, we can see that the red there is touching the 6. This is an earlier one with that hash mark. So that's swinging to the left a little bit. Then we've got this one. That one must have it's got a service insert on it, service bezel. And we could see that is pretty much right in the middle. The red is right in between. And this one, you can see the red there's blue between the 6 and the 0 right up there. So it's touching the right. Okay, so we know we've already got variation. I have a lot of bezel inserts. Touching the red. Touching the 6, touching the red, touching the red, sorry, touching the 0 is what I should be saying. Oh, it's in the middle, I'd say. We got our types. I see blue, I see red, so that goes right in the middle. I mean, look, we've only looked at whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've only looked at 9 of them. We've already found significant variation. I will tell you, a semi-related part. The crystals, original Seiko crystals, they're all, the sealing surfaces are all the same, but the heights and the profiles are sometimes different. Like usually they're slightly different. That looks like it's a zero touching. So, I mean, Seiko would have run these in batches as they needed them. And I don't know why in the world that the printing would change. I mean, obviously they're going to be printing in stages, but this isn't silver printing on top of color. It's negative space. It's showing the that one's right in the middle. It's an early one, and it's touching the 6. Right in the middle. I could sit here and I could classify all of these if I wanted, but I don't think that anybody's into that. I see blue. So it looks like variation is the name of the game. They're going to vary slightly. They're not always dead center. You're going to get some, and you're also going to get changes in color too. They printed them lighter. Sometimes they printed them super dark, like almost a midnight blue-black. Let's go over here. Okay, well, I think that's pretty interesting. It was an interesting question. We now know that there's variation. And it should be more or less right in the middle, but okay. Big Duke 6iXX. Is it fair to say there's the Pogue and then true Pogues, then Pogues? I suppose. I mean, most people, when they're referring to Pogue's own watch, simply call it Pogue's own 6139, or at least that's what I've, or some variation like that. That watch doesn't have any other name. I came up with True Pogue, or started saying True Pogue, because I wanted to, I'm a pretty binary thinker. Something's either true or it's false. And so that's kind of where that came from. It's, I just wanted to set aside what we knew about his watch and what the model was, and I wanted to have it be a specific name so we didn't have to argue about it anymore, because even by everything we knew then, we knew what a true Pogue was versus what it wasn't. We just, it was the first one to talk about it, I guess, or not. Sometimes I do LMAO. I'm working on one now, the Vostok. So far, I found a random spring and a pew into the keyboard. That sucks. You can get a teeny tiny little handheld vacuum, and I mean tiny, like it looks like a glue gun, and it has a high density filter, and I use that to look for really small parts. It's something to think about. Okay, Rolex versus Seiko head to head. Jack Lowe 6803. Imagine if both watches are in the same price. What specs do you buy? It's really tough in some ways, because the Rolex, while it's a relatively modern watch, it's still 40 years older than this technology, and on top of being old technology generally to talk about it. They're sort of an antique kind of movement. They have this glorious feeling like that. I think Seiko's casing is superior. I think Seiko, in this case especially, the Seiko's like dial finishing and the loom job is just, it's more impressive. I think it's more attractive. It's done by hand. Wearability, I tell you this, the Rolex it doesn't disappear on your wrist, but it's not a big watch. This one, you got to get used to it. Timekeeping, they're comparable. I think long-term Rolex, just because they're name recognition, but we're saying as if the price were the same. I don't know. Don't listen to me. What do I know? I answered this question. Oh, yeah. Great, cool watch. Looking forward to the next video for HH Seiko 616. Yeah, this is looking to be a cool job. These are neat because they have a pretty unusual handset that of a style that Seiko didn't use very often. And there were two variants of that handset as well. One was frosted metal, and the other one, like this, was high polish. But yeah, they're pretty cool. Dr. Tings on Wow What a Watch. Can you still get a crystal like that? These watches are where? No, that's not it. Oh, hang on. My brain. There's the crystal in question that he is talking about. So you see, yeah, it has these big, beautiful facets on the crystal. Just so you have an idea of what we're talking about. These crystals are impossible to get. They're impossible to get. This is the way these are made. This is a chrome ring crystal. I mean, people talk about the 6139 chrome ring crystal. That is what this is. How these are made is they have a flat bottomed disc of glass that is bonded into a stainless steel ring that is the same profile as what the later crystal, the one-piece crystal, would follow, and it snugs into the gasket, which is then the whole thing's held together by this snap-down bezel, and that's the way that works. That's how this. But they don't make these. So I mean, what you can do with these is use heat, a lot of heat, and you can get the crystal out of this chrome ring glass, clean it off, and then you use like a two-step epoxy, like an optical one or like a UV cure, ideally, with just generic flat, like 2 millimeter thick glass. If it's got a good bevel above that, and then glue that in place, and that's kind of the only thing you can do about it. Okay, somebody answered this question, date of manufacture. Okay, let me just close that out there. This is about the chevron, the Seiko chevron. Leo Crespi with the correct hands is completely different watch, way better. Yeah, the big hands on that watch definitely give it some. It balances out against those big markers. Yeah, I agree. I just don't. I should have. The only thing that's funky is that same style handset was also used on the first gen 6105 Navigators. But so it's a matter of, do they have a hand tube on the hands or not? Because the Navigators, they're having an extra hand. They had to make the hands extra flat. So, and they look the same. It's really kind of annoying to have to sit there and squint at the thing to figure out which one it's for, but I have to dig it up. Seiko 5626, was the magic lever not invented yet? And if it was invented, why didn't they have that in this watch? It was a higher, nicer watch. These were both. This is a movement that grew out of the 5126, which was an earlier Swiss style movement that with a lower profile. And Seiko, just from my observation, just seems to love having just a ton of things at a bunch of different price points. Sorry, that just fried my brain because it's so pretty. And so this would have been marketed as it would have brought in more money, and they could use this different Swiss style movement and get it to be lower and more amazing, and it's pretty amazing. I don't know. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. I'm looking at the watch and I'm like, that is just really pretty. It's so pretty. It's such a nice watch. You know, my big thing about these JDM watches, I just wish that they had loom. That would be the one. I would just be all over them if they had loom. I really want that extra functionality. Sorry, I'm just sitting here and just my words are coming out of my mouth. You know, this isn't. I didn't want to turn this into like, you know, a criticize, you know, Seiko thing. Anyway, Oh, lovely example. This is the 6139 restoration. Uh, Race car James 53 just read a very interesting WOE article from July last year about Colonel Richard Covey's 6139 6002 Surveyor space flown in 1985. And also in that picture, there's a surprise. I'm wondering if it's a resistor proof. I think it's a resist, but the picture of his watch is in 100% clear, 100 February 71. And I said, this is great. And I made a segment. Well, every day we learn something new. Isn't that true? So this is watchesofespionage.com. And this gentleman right here, he's a fighter pilot, veteran, and an astronaut. Is wearing a 6139. I've never heard about this guy. NASA astronaut, U.S. Force Colonel Richard Covey. So there he is. He bought this thing when he was a fighter pilot, and he wore it while flying, and also while he was doing astronaut stuff. Now, this blog says he wore a 6139 6002. Now, normally I'd be like, well, we can't see the dial. I don't know if that's absolutely true. But in this case, it's more likely than not because of the bracelet. See this bracelet here? This president style? It's got a thin middle with wider links. It's a solid stainless Stellux bracelet, and it was only ever fitted to the 6139 6002s, as far as I know. Even the 6139 6001s, which were watches sold in the PX system, didn't get this bracelet. But there it is. That's clearly what that is. That is the Stellux 6139 6002 bracelet. We go back up to this picture. Up. Come on, let's go. There we go. If we get up to this picture right there, we can see there's some text here. I can't see at any point if there's a notch in the crown, but that we wouldn't expect to see. I would bet that this is a resist 6139 6002, and that it's what I call a blue Pogue. It's like the Pogue, same make, but it's for Australasia, and it's got this particular bracelet with those Stellux end links. Interestingly, I don't know if nobody else noticed, in this same picture, he's double wristing it. That is a Seiko Astronaut A829. That's what that is. So he's wearing two Seikos. That's absolutely what this is. This is the faceted bezel here that turns for the different functionalities. Such a cool watch. This is the correct bracelet for that model. So he for sure was double wristing it with Seiko, nothing but Seiko. So this guy is our new best friend, and we all need to go and tell him how cool it is that he's got this stuff, because that's pretty neat. Okay, I never knew that before. I'm so happy to know it. Okay, for MK, Seiko 6105 8000 restoration, that was satisfying. Timekeeper 47, thank you. It was satisfying. I was glad to come up with a good result. Matthew Kaiser, you're welcome, Mr. Kaiser. I'm just doing the second power reserve. First one, it was still running this morning. Yep. Oh, I'm Kate Schoenfeld. Thank you so much for taking good care of a father's watch. It truly means so much to our family, especially. Well, I was honored to see it, and I give my best. I always give my best, but I gave my best. I really did. I was very, very honored to see it. Robo Alexander 3748. Well done, Spencer. Nice restoration. 6105. The owner will be pleased with the result. I own the new version, Captain Willard. Very nice watch, which I will have on a C&B gray military NATO strap. Thumbs up. Yeah, cool. That's pretty cool. I have this watch. Cool. 6139 6000. Well, thank you for watching. I answered this one. I just got this watch with the original bracelet to join my 7070 and 7080, but one of the main links is disconnected, and I can't find a way to insert the small U-shaped connector. They are really, really kind of a pain. These Stellux bracelets are really, really kind of a pain to deal with. I can't. Why don't you post a picture of what you're dealing with?
Okay, I'm getting closer. In case anybody's wondering how it is that I'm doing, I'm getting closer. Each one fights me. I think I cut this one a little too short, but I'm gonna make it happen. Don't worry about that. Soon, though, it'll be a done share. Anyway, that was Mail Call. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely appreciate it for Sabrina and myself and our family. It's very, very important that you guys are staying here, and so I say thank you. Sorry, I'm looking at the count and the spacing. Okay, we'll talk to you guys next week.